Hey guys, Pankaj here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. From this video onwards, I'm going to talk about advanced Python, starting with Python functions. So those who are watching this video first time, I would suggest please go back to my previous playlist and watch all the Python basics video. Okay, then come back to this video because all the basics are over and all the basics, whatever you have learned so far is going to be used under Python functions, Python modules, and so on, whatever I'm going to teach from now onwards. Okay. So let's see what and all I have. I'll share my screen. So here is the agenda for today. So we'll see Python function definition, what are various type of functions, how to write functions, and what is the return type in function. Okay, why do we use, where to use, what is its main significance. Okay, function docstring, how to define the document under function, how to use it, where to use it. Then after defining function, how to call them. Okay, what are various mandatory, non-mandatory arguments, optional and keyworded, non-keyworded argument. Okay, handling multiple arguments, keyworded and non-keyworded. What is the scope of variables? So we will see local variable as well as global variables. And what are nested function. So we'll see everything, each and everything with the help of a lot of examples so that you can understand. If you have any doubt, please watch while pausing it and keep trying in parallel in your notebook. Okay, so let's see what is definition. So Python function is a block of code. Okay, so why I say block of code, because whatever code you have written so far, you may want to repeat it again and again, right? So instead of typing those block of code again and again, better you embed inside a function and call the function wherever it is required. Okay, so that's why Python function is a block of code or set of Python statements written to perform computational, logical, or evaluating tasks. Okay, the idea is to put some commonly or repeatedly done tasks together and make a function, so that instead of writing the same code again and again for different inputs, we can do the function call or wherever it is required. Okay, so you will have block of code which may need a different kind of input, right, at different point of time in your code, right? So instead of repeating whole set of that code which is going to be repeated again and again and writing again and again, better you create a function and call them by passing the different inputs. Okay, so that is the function definition. So what are various type of functions? We do have inbuilt functions, user defined function, and anonymous function, which is lambda. So inbuilt function, I think I have already used couple of them in my previous video, like sum, list function, tuple function. Okay, so those are inbuilt and those can be used wherever it is required. Now user defined function is the one which we are going to cover in this video. Okay, now anonymous function is nothing but we are not going to define function the way we are going to define inside this function, whatever we are going to see after a short time. Okay, so this is known as lambda function, which we'll see in the next video. I think lambda function I have used in Python tips and tricks also, or in some previous video, but we are going to see in detail in the next video. Okay, so how to write a function. So here is the syntax. So we have something called def keyword, and here you write your function name. So this function name, remember, this is going to be exactly same the way we are defining the variable. Okay, so it has its own thumb rule. Like you cannot define a function name starting with a number, right? You cannot define a function name starting with special character. Okay, you can have uppercase and lowercase later, followed by brackets, and here optional arguments, or I would say parameters. I'll say what is. I'm going to talk about difference between parameter and argument also. So parameters, it could be a number of parameters. Okay, so param2 comma and so on. So it doesn't have any limitation. However, there are certain coding standards, so it doesn't mean you are defining function and you are having 10 or 15 kind of argument. It is not required. Okay, so please choose it wisely and define the parameter whenever it is required. And end with colon. Okay, after colon means it is the line of end of this function definition, and under that you put all your statements. So this statement is the one which I was talking here. Whatever set of statement you are going to repeat again and again, right? You can bind in the function. So I'll just write statements, statement 1, statement 2, and so on. Okay, now here we have something called optional return. So I'll talk about this in detail. Okay, that's all. So once it is ended, then you can go to the beginning of the line. Means your block of code is done here. And after that, you are coming out of this block, that is function block, and your normal coding can start here. Okay, so this is the way you define the function using def keyword. So this is just the syntax. So I'm going to define a couple of examples and show you some examples. Let's talk about here. I'll just write simple example. So let's say you are going to calculate a summation of two number, right? Though we have inbuilt keyword called sum or inbuilt function called sum, but I'm going to define my own, right? So inbuilt. So I'll use capital letter because small letter is already taken by inbuilt function, and it is going to take two arguments, x comma y. Okay, under that I'm going to just write another variable c equal to x plus y. Okay, now I'm going to print c. Okay, so now the function is defined. So this is called definition of the function. It doesn't mean that it is going to be executed. It is not going to execute until unless that user is calling that particular function along with the arguments. Okay, this is just the definition which is getting created. Okay, so how to call it? Just call the function, and here you are passing two arguments, right? You will see in detail like what are those arguments. So this is just for example, since you have given two arguments, you are going to pass two values here. Okay, just execute. So you are calling the function, it will go to the definition, and whatever argument you have passed, it is going to be assigned by each parameter name. So x will be consuming 2 and y will be consuming 3. Okay, now x, y both are having values. It is going to perform this expression. It will evaluate the summation and assign that value to output to the C. Okay, now you are printing the C. Okay, that's how you get the output. Okay, this is one small example. Let's talk about return. So why do we use return? So return is basically acts as a exit from the function. Okay, so when I say exit means after return statement, whatever statement you have put inside the function, it is not going to be executed, because the moment it encounters return statement, it will exit from the function. Okay, so I'm just going to write it for your reference. This is a note for you guys, exit from function, and whatever statements used after return are not going to be executed because it is going to exit from the function. Okay, so let's see one example here. So I'm just going to take def test1, or maybe I'll take func1, just a normal function. Okay, I'm just going to print I am inside func1 and before return keyword, let's return something. I'm not going to return anything because this is just printing one statement. I'm just going to return none and going to print once again. This is after. Okay, so now definition is created. Let's execute it. Func1. See what is happening. So when I call func1, it is going to print this statement. I'm inside func1 and before return keyword, right? And after, I'm just using return keyword and returning none. See what is happening. The moment it has encountered return, it has exited from the function. No matter how many statements are there after return, it is not going to be executed. Okay, so please remember, this is very important, and this is going to be asked in an interview also. Okay, or maybe if any written test is there, definitely they are going to put something. What will be the output of this function, right? So after return, anything is there, just ignore it. It is not going to be executed. Okay, so that is what is the use of return. So it will exit. So I'm returning none. You are free to return any kind of variable. So let's see some example here. So I'm just going to return something called, I can return any number or any print or any kind of string, any kind of data type I can return. Okay, so let's say I'm returning func1 name of function. Okay, so since it is returning, that's why you are getting func1 as printed, right? If I'm going to return a list of elements, so I can just write list func1 1 2 and 3. See here. Okay, similarly you can write any dictionary, any tuple, you can write as a tuple also. See here. Okay, you can return as a dictionary. So there's no limitation, any kind of data type can be returned. So let me write one dictionary here, A:1, B:2. Okay, so that's how return works. Please remember, after return, no matter how many statements are there, it is not going to be executed. Okay, so next we have function docstring. So what is docstring basically? So if you remember, let's say we have one function here, some inbuilt keyword, right? If you press shift tab, it is going to return me some kind of document, right? What is this function, how to return, what are its argument, its type and all, right? So this is nothing but a docstring. Okay, so similar kind of docstring we are going to write in user defined function as well. Okay, so how to do that? So if you remember guys, in string I have talked about triple quote, right? So that triple quote is going to be used on inside function as a docstring. So let's say I'm just going to define func2 x comma y, and here I'm going to use either triple single quote or triple double quote, right? So I'm just going to use, it is up to user what they're going to. I can just write this is func2 example arguments. I'll just pass x and y. Type, I can just define both are integer type, and what it is going to return it is going to be integer type x plus y, because I'm just going to return summation of those two variables. Okay, so now my docstring is done. So remember, docstring is always going to be right after the definition of the function. Okay, after that you can put whatever statement you want. So I'm just going to use, let's say, c equal to x plus y, return c. Okay, now this is done, and let's call this function func2. I'm just going to pass 2 plus 5. Okay, so func2 plus 5, it has executed, but let's say user wants to know what it does, right? So the way I was using shift tab for inbuilt function, I can use for a user defined function also. Put your cursor here and just press shift tab. See, this is func2 example. This is what we have written, right? Arguments x and y, type integer, return integer type x plus y. Okay, and it is adding its own, like where exactly this file and what is the type of this function. Okay. So this is the use of docstring, triple quote. So if you remember, I had promised you guys I will be telling about what is the exact use of triple quote. This is where we use it. We always use for docstring of the function. And once you are going to learn object-oriented programming also, so under class also you can write it. So wherever you are defining function, always write at least 2 or 3 lines of code, or three, 4 lines of document, like what exactly it is a good practice. So those who are going to use user defined function, they'll get to know what exactly this function does, what are various parameter type, what it returns, and how to use it. Okay, it is going to be very helpful. Okay, so now how to call function. So I already told you, just define. So definition is not going to execute whatever you have written, it is just going to create its definition. Okay, the calling means always call the function wherever it is defined, and calling has to be done right or maybe sometime later, but definition has to be before calling. Okay, so you can write def, I'm just writing subtract x comma y, then c equal to x minus y. I'm going to return c. Okay, now definition part is done, and you just call it sub, give 10 and comma 5. Okay, yeah, so definition is always there and you are calling this. Assume that I'm just giving some name which is not at all defined, right? I'm just going to call sub1 x comma y. See what happened. Name sub1 is not defined. Okay, so something is not defined but you are calling, right? So that is not good. It is going to throw the name error. So it has to be defined first, then you are going to call it. Okay, I'm going to comment it. You can uncomment and run it. Now let's see very important part of this function. What are mandatory, non-mandatory arguments? What are optional argument? What is keyworded and non-keyworded argument? Okay, so a lot of interview questions will be uh, framed based on these concepts. Okay, so let me show you. So I'm just going to call func3. Let's say z equal to x plus y. Okay, return z. Func3, I'm just calling. See what is happening. So I just defined the function func3 z equal to x plus y and returning the z. So I'm just calling after that. So what is happening? Name x is not defined. You are doing some summation of x plus y, which is not at all defined, right? So you must pass some argument, correct? So what you need to do basically, pass some argument which you are going to perform some operation over it, xy. Okay, so now I'm passing two argument or defining two argument x and y, but while calling I'm not at all passing any argument. So what is going to happen? Func3 missing two required optional or positional argument x and y. So while calling it remember, okay, while defining you have given two argument, but you are not at all passing, right? So it is going to throw this type error. We require two argument, but nothing is passed, right? That's why this error has come. Okay, so let's pass some argument here. 2 plus 3. Now it is going to return because you pass those number of argument which is exactly required. Okay, so this one example. Now, so here I'll mention x and y is required argument or mandatory argument. X and y are required or mandatory. Please listen carefully, and I would suggest pause the video and type in your notebook and try in parallel. Okay. Now assume that you are calling again 2 and 3 and you are passing, let's say, instead of 3 you are not passing, only one argument is being passed, right? So what is happening? Missing one required positional argument y. Okay, so one requirement, there are two required argument, right? X and y. So first argument, since it is positional, right? So position means it is like one-to-one map. So you have given x and y, exactly two arguments should be passed. So first argument will be taken by x and second argument will be taken by y. So now you are passing only 2. Okay, that is only one argument. So 2 is taken by x, but where is y? That is missing, right? That's why it is giving error. Missing one required positional argument y. So that mandatory argument also needs to be passed. I'll just comment it. Take another example. I'm just going to pass 2, 3, and 4. See what is happening. So func3 takes two positional argument, but 3 were given. So x and y has been taken by 2 and 3, but what about this 4? You are passing extra argument, right? So what will happen? It is going to throw error again, correct? So that's what is this mandatory argument. I'll comment this again. Now let's talk about another example that is non-mandatory, correct? So for non-mandatory, I'll just define this once again. So while defining the function, let's say no matter how many arguments you are passing, sometimes what happen, a couple of parameter you would like to initialize on during definition only, right? So that will become as non-mandatory. So here I'll mention x as mandatory and y as non-mandatory. How to make it y non-mandatory? I can just initialize some value during definition itself. Okay, so here x is mandatory and y is not required or non-mandatory argument. Okay, why it is called non-mandatory? Because no matter whether you define or not, if you're not defining, it already has an initialized value that is with 3. If you pass it, then this 3 will be overwritten by the passed value. Okay, now let's call it func3. I'll just call 2. See here, 2, and how it is getting 5, because y equal to 3 is already there. Okay, so x plus y, that is 2 plus 3, that is 5. Let's take another example. I'll just give 10. So what will happen? So now in this time you are overwriting predefined value of y with 10. Okay, so now 3 will become 10. So 10 plus 2, 12. Okay, so this is how you make mandatory and non-mandatory argument. And remember one thing, mandatory argument will always be before the non-mandatory argument, or you can say this is also known as keyworded argument, because you have given keyword as y, which is already initialized with some value. So this should always be coming at the last. Okay, first you give all the mandatory argument, then non-mandatory argument. Remember that order. Okay, so if you haven't understood, then let me just define and show you what I mean to say here. If you define x equal to, let's say, 10 and y, you're not giving anything, right? See what is happening. Non-default argument follows default argument. So this is what I was talking about. It has to be in order. If you're defining both as default, it's fine. But one with mandatory, one with non-mandatory, you need to follow the order. First will always be non-mandatory, and first will always be mandatory, followed by non-mandatory. Okay. If you define both x equal to 10 and y equal to 20, then it makes sense. I can just call function. So by giving some value, it will overwrite x equal to 10 and y equal to 20. If you don't give any value, then it will be taking the default value, that 10 plus 20, that is 30. Okay. Now what else we have? So this is about mandatory, non-mandatory. We have given option also. So y will be optional now. Now what is keyworded? So whenever you give any value during the definition, that will be called as keyworded value. Means it is having some key and associated with some value. Okay, so x will be known as key and 10 will be its associated value. That's why it is known as keyworded argument. Okay, and non-keyworded argument like y here, you are not giving any value. Here it is x. Okay, those are non-keyworded value. So coming to this particular error, you can always say keyworded argument should be always with non-keyworded argument. Okay, that is what is the order. Okay, so now let me take the same example once again, and I'm going to show. If you remember, I have given one value, one example here, 2, 3, 4, right? Though you have only 2 mandatory argument, but you are passing extra, right? So in this case, it was giving error, right? So how to handle this kind of situation? Let's say user is passing so many values other than defined, right? So that extra argument, what should happen? Instead of getting error, how you can handle it internally? Okay, so that will come under handling multiple arguments. So let me just define. I'm just going to give x and y and z. From 3, 10, 20. Up to here it is fine. Now what will happen if I give, let's say, 30, 40 and 50? It is going to throw an error, right? So how to handle this kind of situation? Okay, so this is where it comes as handling multiple arguments. So we have something called star operator. So how you can handle it? By using star operator. So let's say you have x and y that is mandatory, and after that any extra argument is passed, that you can handle under. I can just mention something called arg. This is also known as arg and quarg. Arg is nothing but argument. Quarg is nothing but keyworded argument, where you will define value for any parameter. Okay, so let's handle this first as arg. So this star means whatever extra arguments are there other than x, y, everything will be stored as a tuple inside argument. Okay, so let me just print x and y, you already know. So let's say print x equal to x. I'm just going to show you how it is going to be stored. Y, and here I'll put arg. Y. Okay. See here, your x is taking 10, y is taking 20, and arg is what? Whatever extra value have been given, that will be stored as a tuple. Okay. So let's give only one extra value. You'll understand how it is going to take as a tuple. See here. So you guys know single element will be ending with comma. Okay. So once you have handled all the extra argument, then internally you can do the indexing, slicing, and do whatever operation you want. That's how it will be handled. Okay. So this is for non-keyworded argument. Now similar example we have for keyworded argument as well. So what I mean to say here, so let's say x you have initialized as 10, y you have initialized as 20. Okay. I'll just print it here. Func4, and keyworded argument must be handled with double star, and we can denote as kwarg. So remember guys, this arg and kwarg what I'm taking, this is just for standard notation. You are free to use any kind of variable name. Okay, I can use ABC also, anything is fine, but double star is mandatory because you are going to handle extra keyworded argument. Okay, so this is keyworded and kwarg, and I'm going to define x equal to 10 and y equal to 20. Okay, let's call it func4. So x equal to 10 you have passed, that is by default, y equal to 20, and kwarg is nothing but it will be stored as an empty dictionary. So remember, arg was getting stored as a tuple and kwarg will be storing as a dictionary because it is keyworded. So we have key, that is parameter name, and their associated value, that's why it is dictionary. Okay, so let's take another example. I'm just going to pass 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. See what is happening here. See, func4 takes from 0 to 2, right? 0, 1, 2 positional argument, but 5 were given. So why this? It is giving error, though we have handled kwarg. So it is expecting keyworded argument. Okay, not just this kind of argument. I'll tell you how to handle both mix of keyworded as well as non-keyworded. Okay, so let me just comment it and use once again. So x and y will be taken by 1 and 2, and 3 will be, let's say I'm giving a equal to 3, then b equal to 4, and c equal to 5. Now we see. So x is taking 1, y is taking 2, and extra keyworded argument will be stored as a kwarg in the form of dictionary. And later you can do indexing and slicing using either keys or values, or just by using key and value pair. Okay, inside the function, if you are going to do some operation. So that's how you handle keyworded. Now let me just show you how to handle both. Handling multiple arguments, keyworded and non-keyworded together. I'll just take similar example. Func5. So we have, let's say I'll just mention 20. And remember, applicable rule will be always keyworded should go after the non-keyworded. Okay. So here I will have one more call star arg. So I could have, you may have the question like I could have put star arg after here, right? No, I have already shown you all keyworded arguments should go at the end, right? Before the, and before that only non-keyworded arguments. So same rule will be applied here also. So let me just put so I'll just put arg here. Arg. Okay, let me just call it func5. So func5, now we have 1, 2, comma 3, comma 4, then 5, and after that keyword, right? So I'll just give x, comma. Okay, remember one more thing. Since x and y you have already defined, so you do not supposed to use same parameter name while passing it also, right? As keyworded. So it has to be different name. Otherwise, it is going to throw an error. So maybe I'll just use and show you what it is going to throw. I'll just go 20 and y equal to, okay, extend y 20. Let's see what happens. So got multiple values for argument text. Okay, so in this kind of situation you have limitation. You cannot use x and y again because it is already in order, right? X, y is already taken, and again you are overwriting, which is not allowed. So I can just use any other name. Okay, so your x is taking y, sorry, 1, y is taking 2, 3 and 4 and 5 has gone as a tuple argument, right? And all the keyworded will go as a dictionary. That's how you handle both keyworded and non-keyworded argument together. Okay, so that's all about this. Now let's see how to define the scope of the variable. So remember guys, whenever you define a function, right, whatever variable you have used inside, it is not going to be exposed outside the function definition. So what I mean to say here, let's say you have taken subtract this function and you have defined one variable inside this, right? C. So scope of C variable will be within the inside of the function. It is not going to be used outside the function. Okay, so that is called local variable. So let me just show you def. I'm just going to use func6 x comma y, one simple example, and z equal to x plus y. Okay, return z. Now after definition we are going to call it, so func6, just pass some value 20. So 10 plus 20, 30, right? But let's say maybe user wants to use z outside, right? Will it be allowed? Print z. See what happened. See, name z is not defined, though it is defined, right? But it is defined within the function, so its scope will be within the function, not outside the function. So this is what is called local variable. Now let's say user wants to make it available outside the function also, right? That's where global will come into picture. Okay, you have to make this variable as a global, then only you will be able to use it. Okay, so how to define that? So before that, I'll just show, let's say you have ABC variable equal to 100. So any variable which is already defined outside the function, by default it is global. You are free to use anywhere, wherever you want. So I can just use function 6 and plus ABC. Okay. Now let's call function 6, 10 and 40. So 10, 40, 50 plus 100, that is 150. Okay. So it is not going to throw error because it is outside the function. That's why it is not throwing error. It is by default global. So what about that variable which is already defined inside the function and user wants to make it available globally? So we have one keyword called global. So I'll just take another example here. So let's say user wants z to be available as global. So you need to define global z. Return z. Now I can use func6. Let me pass some value 1020 and print z. And let me print it outside so that you can see the output for both. Function 6 130 and print z is 130, right? Okay, so that's how we make global variable and local variable. And this is very important. This is also going to be asked heavily in interview. What is the scope of variable? What happens if you define something inside function? Will you be able to use outside or not? If you want to make it available outside, what you have to use? Okay, then global is the keyword. Okay, so that's about the scope of variables. So now let me show you nested function. What is nested function? So guys, you are defining a function inside another function, right? So that's where it is becoming as a nested function. What I can do, def, let's say func1. I'm just going to take xy, print x plus y. Now inside this, I'm going to use another function, def func2 a and b. Okay, and a plus b. So this function can be used once it is defined. Similarly, this function will be used once it is defined. Okay, so that's all. I'm just printing it. Now both are defined. So how can I use it? And output of this, maybe you can use inside this function because which is already defined. So this will be global to this function. Okay, but both. Okay, let me just use this as a variable. So z equal to x plus y. How you can make use of this variable inside another function, right? And this will be, let's say, c equal to a plus b plus z. Okay, so I'm going to return only return c. Okay, let's see what happens. So func2 equal to 10 plus 20, will it work? 30. So a plus b and z, what is the value of z? Let's print that. Does it have anything or not? Nothing, right? Okay. Func2. Inside, I'll just give another name. See here, it was executing because func2 is already defined. That's why I have given another name, func2 inside, right? So what is happening? Name func2 inside is not defined. You are trying to execute which is not at all executed by func1, right? So first, to get this executed, you need to define func1, or basically you need to call the func1, right? Then only func2 will be executed. So before calling this, you need to execute func1. Func1, pass some value 10, 20. Okay, print z here. Yeah, so 10 plus 20, 30, right? Now func2, see here, what is happening. Func2 inside is not defined. Again, you are trying to call. Okay, so this will be executed only when func1 is getting executed. Okay, so inside this, you can just call this function and return it. Func1 and z, and maybe what you can do, you can call func2 inside here. It is taking another, so I'll just take 100, 200, right? A plus b z, func1 10, 20, 30. Okay, and func2, it is printing here, return c. Rather, I'll print, that will make more sense. Yes. So first you have executed func1, that is 10, 20. So it has taken 10, 20, 30, that is z. Print z, that is 30, is getting printed, right? Now after that, this is going inside function func2 inside, because you are calling this, right, after defining. So it is taking 100 and 200 by a and b. It is printing z again. This z is coming from where? The previous function, that is a parent function, I would say. This is a child function, right? That's why you see 30 is getting printed once again because of this line. Let me just mention line number 5. Now line number 6 is giving a plus b, that is 100 plus 200, and z is nothing but coming from line number 3, that is 30. So 200 plus 100 and 30, that is 330, and that's why it is getting printed. Okay, so this is called nested function. Okay, this is never going to be executed because you are directly calling which is not at all defined outside. It is inside one function. Okay, so this is just to remember, guys, you cannot directly execute. Okay, so that's all about nested function. So what we saw, this is all the user defined function, and inbuilt function we have already seen previous classes, and we keep using whenever it is required, right? And next video, we are going to talk about Lambda function in detail. Okay, what it is, how to use it. And please remember all the rules, whatever I have shown you, like while defining the function and what is mandatory keyword, non-mandatory keyword, optional keyworded, and non-keyworded argument. Okay, those are very important. And how to handle multiple arguments, keyworded and non-keyworded. So similar kind of rule will be applied over Lambda function also. That is very important. And a lot of interview questions will be asked under function and Lambda functions. Okay, so I hope you understood. If you haven't understood, please leave out the comment. I'll definitely reply and help you guys. Okay, and please pause the video, keep trying in parallel in your notebook. And I hope you are downloading notebook from Jovian or GitHub, whatever I'm uploading. Okay, if you haven't done, please instead of creating new, better you download and modify my notebook. That will be very helpful. Okay, so we'll see in the next video what is Lambda function. Then now you know how to create your own function, right? Now you can create your own module by writing various API in the form of function. So that will be covered under module video. So we'll see in the next video. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, and please subscribe my channel if you haven't done so far. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.